Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from where or when you're watching this video. This is John from IT Skills Academy, and I take this opportunity to welcome you back to my channel. We continue creating the pharmacy management system, and this is episode 21. I encourage you, if you're watching this video for the first time, you watch the previous 20 episodes. If you want to follow along with this tutorial, I'll leave a link in the description of this video. But however, if you just want to learn some PHP, you can continue to watch this video. I just ensure you that you're going to learn some basic PHP that you can apply in your projects. I would also not forget to thank those who are following my series and also commenting and giving me feedback. I appreciate a lot, and this keeps me going. If you're watching this tutorial and you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly consider subscribing so that you can be able to get video updates in future. That out of the way, let's get started. But first, we roll the intro. Alright, so thanks for choosing to continue to learn with IT Skills Academy. So in our previous video, we created the checkout page as well as the sales summary. Some of you are asking me how many videos are remaining in this series, and this could be the last one, unless otherwise. So we created the checkout and the summary or the sales summary. So currently we are viewing the sales summary. This is where you're going to see a summary of whatever you have bought or whatever you have sold. And what I've just added is the total, as you can see here. So we have the total, and here we have a dummy number. So this table just contains some dummy data, but we're going to fetch all of these from the database, therefore making it dynamic. We also have this button at the bottom here, print receipt, which I've just pre-created off the camera. So if I may just take you to Visual Studio so that we see that. So I can just switch to the sales summary .php, and this is the table that we created, but now I've just added below that the total sales, and basically it is a table that has a class of table, and I've created a row that is TL, where I have several columns. So this is what is making it to span all the way to this point here. So here we have some empty columns, which is what you're seeing here, and then you have the total and you have the dummy number here. So now below that I've created another div, and within that div, if I may just break this down like that. So inside that div now we have the button, the print receipt. So this is the one that someone will be clicking to print the receipt, and basically it will be a reflection of the sales summary that we have here in the table above. Okay, so that out of the way, the first thing that we are going to do here is to get the data from the form and update the cells. And basically we'll be updating the sales table with the payment made, the balance, and the total. So if I may just head on to PHP my admin, and in the sales table you find that we already have the data inserted. So we inserted this data into the sales table in one of our previous videos, and right now what we want to do is we want to come and update the payment, like what the client has paid, the change that the client expect or that was given to the client, and the total amount, so like how much was the client expected to pay, how much did the client give out, and what was the change given. So that is the information that we want to add into the sales table, so that now we can be able to have a complete receipt. Because right now we will not be able to have a complete receipt because it won't have the amount, it will not reflect the amount the client has paid, the amount that the client was expected to pay, and the change that maybe the client would expect to get. So that's basically what we just want to do here, and this information will be coming from the checkout page. So this is where we were able to get the invoice due, like how much is the client expected to pay. So we were able to echo it here. Here we have or we enter the amount given by the client, so in this input, and the balance down here. So we just want now to come and grab the amount given. We also want to come and grab the balance and also grab the total, and insert this or update the sales, or have it inserted in the sales, and then after that now we'll do the receipt. So if that is clear, then we can just go ahead and do just that. So before we come to the sales summary, we want to ensure that this is a form that will lead us to the sales summary page. So as you can see, it's a form down here, and those specific inputs will have the names that will help us to grab the data that we want to insert into the database. So as you can see, we have the input, and it is hidden because we don't want to show it on the page, on the checkout page. So but we have it there, having a name of total. We also have the balance here, and most importantly the invoice, because we would want to keep track of the invoice so that we can only update a specific transaction with the help of the invoice number. And also the amount given, it's within an input and it has a name of amount given, so that is good. And if we scroll up, then we'll have this form, as you can see here, having the action of sales summary.php, and with the method of post, of course. So that means if we click the submit button, basically we'll be taken to the sales summary. One last thing that we also want to ensure that is available is this. In fact, I think I should have it like this. Just break it down like this. Yeah, I think that way it's easier to understand. Yeah, like that. So we have the button there. Yeah, so if I align it like that, I think it will make some sense. So the button has the type of submit, and the name is submit. So I know this is obvious, but still it's worth mentioning, because of course I'm talking to a variety of people who may not have this understanding, and also to you it's also some sort of a reminder. So, and we also have the class there. So of course this is the bootstrap styling. Yeah. Okay, so that is very clear, I hope. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always be leaving them in the comment section below. So now, to insert this data into the database, one of the things that we need to ensure that is available is the connection to the database, which I have already included here. So I have it required, and this is basically the path. So I have the connection to the database in a file called includes, but I have to move back one folder, so I have to step back one folder. So that's why I have the // so I get out of the includes, and then now I'll be able to get into the includes folder and get the account.php. Alright, so if that is working fine, then we can now be able to insert this data into the database, but first is to get it from the form. So we're going to come and use the if is set, like the if statement, of course, and it will be if is set, and because we are passing this information via the form or using the post method, we're going to come and put a $_ post. So this is in capital letters, and this will only be invoked when the submit button is clicked. So we're going to have square brackets like that, and then square brackets like that, and here we're going to just come and say submit. So basically we are saying if the submit button is clicked, then we should pass this information in this table here. So the way we are going to do that is we're going to come and have an if statement. The if statement will have the condition of if is set, and because we are passing this information via a form, we're going to come and have the post method. These should be in capital letters. Okay, at least it should be in capital letters. It will look a bit nice, but I think even if you have it in small letters, it will still work. But it's good practice just to have it in capital letters. And then in square brackets, we're going to have the submit. And remember, this is the submit that we have in the button. We have the button having the type of submit and the name being submit. So if I may just take you back there, so the name is submit and the type is submit. So we are saying if this button is clicked, or how we are going to detect if this button is clicked is with this submit, with this name submit. And now the code inside that will be just getting the data and storing it in variables. So I'm going to have a $, and the first thing that I want to have here is the amount given. So the amount given in this case is the payment. So amount given is equals to, and I'm going to grab this one. So through now the post method, I'm able to store the amount given in this variable. So as you can see, the equals, basically what it does is that it stores the information on the right onto the left. So the information that we have here is stored on the left side of the equals side. So if I come and duplicate that, because I also want to get the balance and the total, so I'll just come and put balance. So balance, and I'll also want to get the balance on this side, and we also want to get the total, like that. And of course every PHP statement should end with a semicolon, so I should come and include the semicolons here, like that. And before we insert this data into the database, we want to see if we are able to get that. So here we have a typo. We want to see if we can be able to get that, and very quickly the way we can do that is by echoing, and we can come and echo one, the amount given. We can also come and echo the balance. We'll also echo the total, so we want to see if we can be able to do that. So we head on to the browser, refresh, and see if we can be able to get that information. So the amount due is 195. I'll come and put the amount given by the client as 500, and the balance will be 305. So you click on checkout, and now if I come and just have that like that, as you can see now we have the 500, and we have the balance of 305. Have the balance of 305. So the 500 is the amount given, the 305 is the balance. So the only information that we are not getting in this case is the total. I don't know what's wrong with that. Okay, so let's just try maybe to comment this one. Yeah, and it is because of this reason that we first of all try to echo the data that we want to like update the database with, because in some cases we might not be able to get it, and hence it will not be inserted into the database, and this may lead to errors. So we first of all like try to all for me, I just try to make this my my habit, to first of all try to echo the data, so that if there is a problem, now I know that the problem is from here moving upwards. So it's easy for me to be able to detect the problem. So the reason as to why we are not be able to get the total is if we get to the checkout, we have the amount due here, and we don't have a name, and even if we have it somewhere down here, which I think I have repeated somehow, we should not have this one. Let's first of all try to get rid of it, just in case we need it. We're just going to get it back there. So because we already have the amount due here within an input, we can just come and take advantage of this, and just below that we come and include the name, and this name now should be total. Now this is the total that we now expect to have it stored here. So like we get it through the post method, and then we store it on this variable total, and so that now when we echo it, we're able to get it. So I hope now with that it will work. So we now try to do that again. So the amount is 195, the money given is 500, and the balance is 305. We check out. So now if we restore the page, as you can see now we have the 500, we have the 305, and we have the 195 being the amount that we want to get from the client. So that is working fine as we would expect, and so now we can go ahead and insert this into the sales page. In fact, we are updating the sales page with this information. So we can now get rid of that, and we can just come and have a comment and say it's all update. Sorry, update the sales table. So I know I have it on top here, but it's always good to add the comments to just help you in future, and also help someone else who is reviewing your code. So to do that, we're going to come and create a variable called SQL, and this will be set to be equal to, in double quotes, update. It's good practice to have the update in capital letters, so update, and we are updating the table called sales. So this again can be in small letters, otherwise it will give you problems. so like it should be how you have it on your database. Update cells, and we want to update the cells and set. So these again should be in capital, or at least it's good practice to have it in capitals. So update cells and set. So the columns that we are setting or that we are updating are the payment. We also have, if we just check that, the payment change and the total. So the payment change, of course you can have these in your own name, so this is just for the sake of making you understand what's going on here. So payment change and the total. It's always good to have them with a balance, like how you have written them here is the same way that you should also have them here. Now here we're going to now come and set this to be equal to in single quotes and a comma, and then now we're going to have this variable which stores the amount given, which is the payment here. So you can use different names, and you can also be able to use similar names. It's recommended to use similar names just in case might be confused somewhere. So but I had already created my table, and somehow I forgot the names, and I just wrote some funny names here, but I just hope that you understand. So the payment change will now be the balance, so I just come and grab these, and I should again have these in double quotes, and we should have a comma, so I paste that there. There should be no space, because if there's a space, then that space will also be considered as well. So just avoid that to avoid mistakes. And finally, we are now going to have the last one here, and for the last one, it will not have the comma. So this will be the total. So total. And one of the things that is very, very important and we have forgotten is the invoice. Because we don't want to update every transaction with this data. We want to update only the transactions that reflect a specific invoice number. So we need to have that invoice number from the checkout page. If we go to the checkout.php, you find that we have the invoice here. So we need to grab this invoice and have it in the sales summary, and use it to update the sales. So I'll just come and grab this just to save time, duplicate it, and this will be the invoice. So invoice, yes. So that now down here we can come and say update sales, set payment to be amount given, payment change to be balance, and total to be total where, and the where again should be in capital letters, where the invoice is equals to. So you can even have the name invoice in a different name, so it doesn't have to be invoice. So it's just a unique number that I have created here, and I've called it invoice, that is helping me to identify similar transactions. So is equals to the invoice that we have on top here. So remember, we have been able to get the invoice number through the post method. We have stored that one here, and now we want to come and use it down here. So I grab that, and I come and paste it here. So should avoid the spaces, yeah, like that. So where the invoice is equals to invoice, and then now we should now have it closed with this one, so let it just be somewhere there. Yes, like that. And this is now the script to update records in a database, and in this case we are just updating our sales table. Now after that, now we want to come and check or create the MySQL query. So so that will be stored in a variable called results. So we can just come and say res, so res for results, and this we're going to come and set it to be equal to MySQLI, and that's called query. And the MySQL query accepts two parameters. One is the connection to the database, so the con, and the other one is the SQL, like the update statement. So now we want to check if this returns true, and this will determine whether the data has been inserted into the database or it has not been inserted into the database, and that will give us our next step, or yeah, it will help us to know what is the next step that we need to take. So if it was not inserted, yeah, we need to check and see why. If it is inserted, then it means we are good to go. So to be able to do this, we're going to use an if statement, and the if statement will have the condition of the variable less if it is equal true. Yeah, so here we are just like trying to compare these two and see if they match. So if they match, then it means we are good to go. If they don't match, then it means we have a problem. So the code for this one now will be if less is equals true. We can maybe for now temporarily just come and echo updated successfully. So updated successfully. Updated successfully, and that is if it returns true. Else we can come and echo failed to update. Failed to update. And of course these ones should end with semicolon. Yes, so something like that. So now we can try to update the table and see if it will work. So here I am in the checkout.php page. I try to click on checkout, and if I just come and restore that, the message that I'm getting here is updated successfully. Let's confirm with the table and see if we have the new information there. So I can just come and refresh that. Yeah, and as you can see, our table is updated successfully. The funny thing that I've noticed is I have two of these tables. I have one in the pharmacy database, and I have another one in the worker pharmacy, because I have similar projects. So this is the table that I was showing you before, but these cells here, but I was supposed to be showing you the cells that is in the pharmacy table. So that the one that we are viewing right now. So this is the correct one. The one that I was reviewing or showing you was was long. So we have the payment, we have the payment change, and we have the total. So if you notice here, we have some duplicates. So this is something that you may want to consider in your project to avoid some duplicates. So this has not been covered within the scope of this video. So yeah, but it's also some good practice to always ensure that you don't have duplicate records. So in this case, I had inserted several or this drag several times. Yeah, and that's why we're also seeing this here. But our concern or our aim objective here is to be able to get the payment change, and the total. If for the duplicate, that's another case. So that has been updated successfully, and so now we can now continue to add some more code here and make our system more functional. So instead of now echo updated successfully, we can come and redirect the person to the right page. So we can just come and say hand, or rather handler, and then into brackets, into double quotes, we're going to come and have the location, and the location will be basically sales underscore summary. So same page where we are right now, .php. And I always like this to start with capital letter, and I'll also come and change this to that, and so that you know whether there was an error or not. You can maybe come and put a question mark and say maybe success, and here you can put a question mark and say failed. But also you can also be able to use sessions. So like you can create a session and have a message code on the page. Yeah, so that's something that we have done with in one of the episodes in these series. So you can just check that out and apply it. Alright, so now that is working fine. Now what we want to now be able to do is to now be able to display the sales summary here. So we want now to be able to like have the information that we have here. We want now to come and display it somewhere here. We want to come and display it here. So the way we can do that is now down here. This is our second action or task here, is to get data from the sales table and update or have it displayed in this table here. And remember, this will be where the invoice number is, the invoice number that we have on top there. Okay, so let's just do that. So the PHP delimiters, so PHP, and we already have the database connection on top there, so we don't need to mind about it right now. So we create a variable, call it SQL, set this to be equal to here we want to select all from sales where invoice is equals the invoice that we have on top there. So the invoice, so we terminate that, or we add that statement like that. And then now down here we're going to come and create the MySQL query. So we come and have that stored in a variable called results. So we say ls, short for results, is equals to MySQLi underscore query, and this will accept two parameters as usual, that is the con and the SQL. So the SQL is the one that we have here, and the con is the one that we have in the connection to the database. So we are checking if the connection to the database is successful, and if this statement is also successful, and we are now storing that in this variable. So now we now want to come and check if the res was true, and from there we can be able to take an action. So if, and we are checking if the res is equal true. So we're just like trying to quit or match. So if res is equal true, then what we want to do is we want to count the number of rows. So if it is true, then it means everything went well in this line of code here, and so now it means we can be able to access the database and we are ready to fetch the information. And so if we are able to do all that, what we want to do is we want now to first of all count the number of rows, so that we'll only now be able to take an action depending on the results of the count. So the results of the count will help us now to be able to take the next action. So the variable count will be equal to MySQLi underscore num underscore rows. So this is just helping us to count the number of rows in the sales table that match this invoice. Yes, so we are counting the number of rows where the invoice is the invoice that we have on top there, which we have stored in a variable. And the MySQL num rows will accept one parameter, or will require one parameter, and that is the res of the results. And now we now want to come and check if the count, so this is a nested if statement. So if the count is greater than 0, then it means we have some records, at least one or more. So if it is equal to true, then we can have some code, and else. So we can come and have the else, and there again we are going to have some code. So maybe we can just come and say echo no records found, no records. So we can just come and echo no records found. Yeah, so that is if the count is less than 0. So it means we don't have anything. Otherwise, if it is greater than 0, then we will now to be able to rope through all the records and have them in our sales summary page. So for that, we're going to come and use the while loop. So we're going to come and say while, and the parameters here will be low. If low, or we're going to set the low to be equal to, so we are assigning. So whenever you see an equals in programming, PHP, C, whenever you see the equals, it means we are assigning what is on the right to what is on the left. We are assigning what is on the right to what is on the left side of the equals side. So we are now assigning the variable row to MySQLi underscore fetch underscore assoc. So this is an associative array, and these will accept two parameters, or rather one, and that is the res. So by that, now we are able to like fetch the information and store it in this variable called row, and now we can now be able to store that information, or like print it and store it in various variables, so that now we can be able to like call it and have it on the page. So in this case, we can just come and check here. We want the patient name, we want the medicine name, the medicine price, and the quantity. So we can just come and have that here. So variable patient name, and we also want the medicine name. We want to also have the the price, and we also want to get the amount or the total, the quantity. Yes, the quantity. Yeah, and anything else that we may want to have there. So this is just what I was able to get, or I want to just have it here. So now I'll set this to be equal to, so because I want to have an equals in all of these, I'm just pressing the Alt and now clicking, and I can say is equals to, and here you can have the variable low, and in square brackets, in quotes, and then now we can come and put the information, or rather the values as they appear on our table. So you have the patient name, you have medicine underscore name, we have the QTY. Okay, so we have the the patient underscore name, and we have the medicine underscore name. One of the things that I'm doing here, and I may not want you to do, is naming. You see, these are different, and it may get to a point where it will confuse you. So just discourage you from doing this, and please try to use similar names. Yeah, try to use similar names. And the reason as to why I have this is because I came to, because with the JavaScript knowledge, I'm just trying to use that naming style or whatever in JavaScript. So I'm finding it very fine, and I'm just trying out to introduce it in my coding. But because I had already created the tables, and they had already acquired the specific names, I didn't need to change that. But I also want to mention that, so that you don't make that mistake. So this is now the price, and this is the QTY. So it now means that we have the information from the cells stored in these variables, and we can now be able to go ahead and echo that. And the way we are going to do that, of course, before I forget, these statements should end with semicolons. So I'm just going to come and put the semicolon there. Now we want to come and embed this HTML table. In fact, the T body, I want to come and grab the whole of the T body here, and I want to have it within this PHP here. But the way we have been doing it is within the while loop. In fact, we're going to have this within the while loop. So we are going to come and end the PHP, or have the closing delimiter there, so closing PHP tag, and I'm also going to come and open it just below that, so that now we have something like that. So we have this PHP closed here, opened, and again closed in down here, and now inside here we can now embed the HTML code. So you can just come and paste that there. Yeah, so I think that is good now, and we can now be able to come and now echo the data here. So PHP, and here we want to come and echo the patient name. So to save time, I can just copy these, duplicate that there. Oh, sorry, let me just have it like that so that I know what I'm supposed to put where. So this will be the medicine name, medicine name. This is the price, so price, price, and the last one is quantity. Oops, and this one should be variables, should have the $sign. Okay, so I think that is working fine, and now we can be able to first of all see if that works. So we are going to insert it one more time for the sake of seeing if that will work, because what I understand is the process will not be working backwards, so there's no way that you're going to get into the sales summary before you pass here, and it is from here that you're able to get the invoice. There's no way that you can be able to get into the sales summary without the invoice number, otherwise it will give you problems. So that's why we are stepping back, so that we can be able to move with the invoice number, which will help us to solve the problems that we might face on that page. So I'm just clicking checkout here, and all we are getting an error on line 38. So line 38, okay, 38. Oh, we forgot to end this with semicolons, so it's a very important thing, but it's very easy to forget. So if we refresh that, let's see what we get. And we are having an error again, that undefined variable invoice, that we have not been able to declare the invoice, and we are seeing no records found. Okay, so I think the reason as to why we are seeing this is because we are refreshing the page, and as a result we are losing the invoice. We are losing track of the invoice number, and we can now try to take advantage of sessions, try to use the session to keep track of the invoice, and that will be sustained even if we refresh the page. So the way we can do that is on top here, we can come and have the session started. So I can just come and say session underscore start. So I start a session there, and then now down here, when we insert the data successfully, we want to come and store the invoice. So we can just come under the if statement, within the curly brackets, we come and have the session. We're going to call the session invoice, and we are going to set it to be equals to the invoice. So like the invoice that we're getting through the post method. So the invoice that we're going to get through the post method, we are storing it in a session called session invoice. So now after that, we can now come down here where we require that invoice here, and we can come and create a variable invoice, and we're going to set that to be equal to the session. So I can just come and get rid of this. So we're just now storing whatever we have here in this variable called invoice, and now as a result, now we can be able to have the invoice declared, or like be able to get the invoice that will help us to select the information from the database. So let us try and see if that one will solve the problem. So I'll get back to the checkout page, and I'll click on checkout, and as you can see now we're able to get the information. So we have the patient name, we have the medicine name, the price, and the quantity. Now down here we want now to be able to get the total. We want to be able to get the total, so that one should be somewhere here. So to get the total again will be very simple. We can come and have the PHP delimiters here, PHP, and here we can come and create a variable, call it SQLI is equals to here we want to like get the sum of the total. That makes sense. Yeah, the sum of the column total, and we are selecting the sum of the column total, and this is as total, where the invoice is equals to invoice. And just before I forget, this should be in single quotes, yeah, like that. And then now we can come and have the MySQL. So we can come and have the MySQLI query. So $ less, or we can just come and say results is equals to MySQLI underscore query, and this will have the con and the SQL I, because is what we have on top here. And after that we're going to have the a variable called data, or you can give it any name, like we can just come and call it sum is equals to MySQLI underscore fetch underscore sock, and this will have the parameter results or results, and that with a semicolon. So this is the script that will help us to get the sum of the total. And so now we can now be able to come down here and echo that. So we can just come and have the PHP opening and closing delimiters here. So we can just come and say echo, and here we're going to echo the variable sum, and into brackets we are going to have total. This is the column. Yeah, so like that. Let's try to refresh that page. Looks like we have an error somewhere, that's why we can't be able to load that anymore. Let's try and fix that. And I think this one should not be parentheses, it should be square brackets rather than the normal brackets, so like that. So now we can try and refresh that. We have a typo somewhere, the invoice, and we are slapped with another error here. MySQL fetch sock expect one parameter. I think this is a mistake that I have been making of late, where I just come and say select and I forget to say from where. So the from should be included somewhere here, which is very important because it tells the script from where it will grab the or get the information, from which table in the database it will get the information that you need. So we have not stored it here. There was also a typo here that I have collected. So here we should come and say from, and say we are collecting this from the cells. And the from should be in capital letters, so that we now have that looking good. So now if we refresh that, no, we still have the same problem. Okay, we need to fix this one. Here should be select some the column total as total from cells where the invoice is that. Yeah, and finally we have the total here, which is 975. So that looks good, but the 975 is an exaggerated figure because we're just summing this. This is 50, this is 110, 110 plus 120, 135 plus this one. It cannot go to 975. That means it is not considering the invoice or something. Yeah, and finally we have that. So it is 975, and this is the total of that. So and I think another important thing that we can add here is the subtotal, so that one is able to know where this is coming from. So let's include subtotal here first, and then we're going to do something else. So first of all, let me just come on top here and require to have the the total. In fact, I'm just going to come and call it subtotal, and here the row will be total. So I can come and add the subtotal here. And I should also now have that table, or rather that column. So that one will be subtotal. Yeah, so we have the subtotal there. So this is because we have inserted some duplicate records, and that's why we are having all of this. And I just mentioned that avoiding the duplicates is not covered in this episode here, which is very, very important. So what we're going to do so that this makes sense, we're just going to create a new patient and try to just give him the required medicine, and now see how the totals will come out. So we come and add another patient here. We can call him test. You can give him a phone number. We can also give him date of birth. Maybe we just come and pick that one. We can pick a location. The patient is added and appears here, so we attach to that patient, and we can come and give him a blue pen. Next, we add the quantity, that will be 1. So we submit that, medicine data inserted. We can also try to issue another one. Can try and issue the set reason here, so that should be the quantity 1 issue. So we have the 2 here, Brufen and set reason 1 issue 30 25. So we can submit that. Medicine data inserted, so we can continue the checkout, and here we have the amount due, and we can come and enter the amount given. The balance is 15. We check out. Alright, we are still having the same problem here, because I don't think this should be how it is being shown here, because now we have the subtotal being 2 or being 85 rather, and I expect to see 30 here and 25 here, so that when it sums that we get the 55. I don't know why it is behaving that way. Let me see if we get to the sales summary page. Oh, sorry, this one, let's select this from the sales order rather than the sales. So we can say sales underscore order. So this is the table that is holding the sales orders. So if we now try to get it from that, let's see the sales order table. Yeah, so this is the sales order table. It has all these orders that have been made but are not yet paid, and we have our order here, and we have the total here, so the 30 and 25. So and the table itself is sales order. Okay, so now that means if we say select sum as total, or sum the column total as total from the sales order, where the invoice is equals to invoice, that will be correct. So we can try and refresh that. That should give us 55. So we want now to try and rectify this. So for the subtotal, it will be price times quantity. So instead of row total, we can just come and get rid of this and say that subtotal is equals to price multiplied by the variable quantity, y. Yeah, and finally that will give us that, which is very correct. So we have 30 times 1, 30, 25 times 1, 25, the total 55. Alright, so the last thing that we're going now to do is to print the receipt. And if you can remember, we already created the receipt, so the HTML part of it, and so now when we click on print receipt, it will take us to that specific receipt, and from there, if we want to print it, we can just click on print to print the receipt. But this is an optional step. You can just ignore it or just continue and have it. So the way we are going to do that very fast is we're going to head on to the button here. In fact, let me just come and break it down like this. And now here the href will be receipt .php, and we want to carry the invoice number. So I'll say question mark is equals to and here I want to come and echo the invoice number. So I'll say PHP echo the invoice number, like that, such that now if we come and refresh the page, so when I point at this button, as you can see, we have the invoice number below there at the bottom left, and this is as a result of this. So we have the href being equal to receipt.php question mark is equals to, and we are echoing that there. So we have the receipt here. So if we just come and click on it, let's see what happens when we click on it, and we are taken to this receipt here that has some dummy data. So basically what you're just now going to do is to get the information from the database and make it dynamic, and a person can now be able to click on this to print the receipt. So you're just going to do that very quickly because we are running out of time. So the first thing is to get the data from the cells and have it distributed here, or displayed there. So PHP and now that we have done this several times, I think I don't have to keep on explaining everything, so I'll just do it very quickly.
Swear I won't forget this, why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on like lotion. I can feel it soaking me open, the scars have awoken. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. The pain makes it real. I don't wanna feel, I just wanna kill. The bad thoughts are still a good thought and feel. I'm just lost, I feel, I'm just lost, I feel. I need time to heal, I can't steer the wheel. Cause this drive it heals, and it gives me chills. A nice road it feels, I slip off the peel and crash all the steel. Will I ever heal? I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath hold. Cause I can't move on till I let go.
So we have that there. So we have basically selected or fetched the data from the cells, and we want to display it on our receipt. So let's see if that code works. Oh, sorry, we have forgotten a very important part requiring the invoice and the con. So we need to fix that first. So we need to first of all come and require the database connection on our page here, and also get the invoice number. So we need to get the invoice number. So we're going to get this, of course, from the sales summary through the link. So we can just come and say if PHP first, PHP, and here we're going to first of all require the database connection. So require, and that will be includes /con.php, and we're also now going to get the invoice number using the get method. So we're going to come and say if is set get, and this is the the invoice, or let's see if we give it a name, which is very important here. Forgot to come and include the invoice here, so that now we can here come and say if we set get, and then now we come and now have the invoice here, and so now we can come and store the invoice in a variable here, is equals to, and we can grab this, we have it there like that. So if we go back here and say print receipt, we get a simple error there. We cannot be able to get the includes. Okay, yeah, so that should be include and not includes, so we should get rid of that. So we can now try and repeat that again. Okay, so I had to step back one step. It is outside the dashboard. As we can see it here, the con is not within the dashboard folder, so you have to get out of the dashboard and go to the include. So let's try and see if that works for us. Yeah, I think it's because of this capital letter that I have here. The PHP is case sensitive, so we remove the P there as well as here. Yes, like that. So that should solve that problem. We can also come and try to echo the balance here. That should be the payment, so we can just come and get rid of that. We have PHP, and here we can come and echo. I don't know, let me check the variable that I've stored the balance. So that is a payment change. And the amount paid again here, this one should be payment. And for the grad total, I think I'm just going to come and grab what we have here. So I'm just going to come and grab this code because it is similar to what we want there, and I had already explained how it is working, so I can just come and grab that to save time, and I paste it here, so that now here I can just come and have the PHP, and we echo the sum, and square brackets. We want to have the total. And now, as you can see, we have our receipt being complete there. So that's it for this tutorial. It has been quite a tutorial, very long, but at least I hope you've learned something from it. If you want to print the receipt, you can just click on this. So let me know if there is anything that I've left in the pharmacy management system. I think I have been able to exhaust everything that I intended to show in this series. This is the last video, but still we can be able to add a few more things that you guys can suggest. Otherwise, that's it for the pharmacy management system. If you've been following along with this tutorial or this series, I can only thank you for that, and I can also ask you to apply the skills that you've learned to create your own projects. Thanks for watching, and as usual, see you in the next one.